what's that balance between quality and quantity, right? Because I agree with you that I think, like I said earlier, it's if it was up to me, we'd all have a half an hour to do research on every single account that we ever went into, so we could be super personalized, connect with them on LinkedIn. And I understand on the dialer side, right? So on the dialer side, I think I used to kind of shit on dialers because I'm like, oh God, it's a spam cannon, right? But even though I actually now I like dialers only if it can be segmented down by at least a certain role, right? Because if you're doing a dialer, you can't do research on every account. And I guess you can probably force some things for talking points, whatever. But if I can say, okay, I just want to call every VP of sales in the SaaS industry in my book that fits this profile, so I can come with a message that's relevant to them, then unleash that dialer so I can just get those people, right? So when you pick up your VP of sales, I have something to say. So that's where I like dialers, and I can create efficiencies with that. But when it comes to LinkedIn, when it comes to all these other like email even, right? Like what's the balance of automation or technology, if you will, in the human factor? Because one of the things that I really am getting worried about, for instance, is I think in mails, it's kind of gotten trash a little bit because there's been all these Autobots that have been basically flooding people's in mailboxes these days. Although I do like what you're talking about. I love the voicemail and I love the video thing. But when it comes to I'm seeing now AI start to do automated comments on people's posts, and I threw up a massive red flag on that one. I actually sent it to LinkedIn's executive team and I said, guys, like this is going to ruin the fucking platform. And so everybody, like in theory, I think you and I are similar in the sense that in theory, the approach it makes sounds like the way it's supposed to be done is the way it's supposed to be done, but it never gets used that way. All these cadence tools, like when they're used the right way, they're great tools for efficiency, but 90% of them use them as spam cannons and just the easy button. So I guess where's that balance that you're teaching the reps to make sure the human factor is still there, but the automation puts us in a position where we can do this at scale and we don't have to spend an hour or two doing research on every account?
We actually called it about a year and a half ago, back to basics. We started looking at our tech stack and realized our tech stack is like literally a Jenga stack. And it was just about to fall over with the amount of, death by subscription, right? Like we were paying for every tool you can possibly imagine because we thought it was the coolest, next greatest thing and we can test it and this is awesome. And then we realized like 80% of this is not even being used and probably the rest 20% is not being used correctly. So we like threw it all away and we started from basics and said, hey, let's get this back to basics. What's working? Who's picking up and how's it working? It really starts with the list, to your point. We actually have researchers who are essentially junior SDRs. And their job is to truly scrub that list, find out if they're picking up the phone, truly understanding if this is a person that will communicate, will respond, and a reachable person. Because we all have access to all the data now. Like all the data companies, everyone has the same data. And so we want to see if they're reachable. And if they're reachable, then we can put it into a dialer, then we could put it attached to a high volume SDR because we're throwing activity against something that we know is going to stick. And I think that's the biggest thing. These spam cannons that are out there, they don't know if it's going to stick or not. And it's ruining everything. Have you gotten this? Have you seen this one? I've gotten like 6 of these the last month. I get a 1 penny PayPal. I get paid a penny through PayPal and it says, I'm an AI bot. This is a unique way of contacting you. A penny for your thoughts, and people are sending me pennies right now. And it's just like I saw it on some other guys on LinkedIn complaining about it. Like this is what's ruining
Oh God,
our inboxes.
I hope I don't get those. I haven't
I
gotten
hope you
those.
don't either.
I hope to God I don't get those.
No, but it's
I get
just
pissed
like
off. I'll be honest. I get pissed off when sales reps offer me like a $5 Starbucks card. I'm like,
right.
Do you realize? Like, and I've had to educate a few reps on this. I'm like, so I just want to make sure we're clear what you're telling me here with a $5 gift card for 30 minutes of my time. You're telling me that my hourly rate is $10 an hour by offering me a $5 gift card to Staples, like, or to, Starbucks. Cut the shit. A penny for my thoughts. I'd kill somebody if they said me that.
Exactly. And it's, I don't want to mention names, but that's one of the tech stacks that we got rid of as well is, too much gifting out there, it feels like just bribery for your time. And it's like,
totally.
It's all hey, here, let me send you something for 30 minutes. It's like, tell me what you do. I just got another one yesterday. I have a template in my notes here. Every time I start getting, spammed, like I get 5-paragraph message on LinkedIn. As soon as I connect with someone, the next day I get another 3, another 4, another 5. I respond with this. It's literally copied and pasted. And I say, hey, listen, please send me a 1-minute voice note or a 1-minute Loom video on exactly why you can help my company, and I will take your demo. And 9 out of 10 times, I never get anything back. And the time, 10% of the ones I do, I'll take the meeting. But I think that's what has to happen now. And I think going back to basics, the teams that are doing that, whether it's having the AEs doing the full sales cycle, which I don't think that's the best way to do it if you want to scale, but also there has to be the human on the front end. We're cutting too many quarters, and it exponentially has gotten to us. And that's, I think, the issue right now. We have to, yeah, it's less volume, but if we contact the right people and we make sure that that is the right contact list, we can add, of course, tools to it to do it at scale, but we have to be authentic and have to create trust.
Yeah, and that's kind of my if I were to look at the positives of what happened this year, as far as the train wreck that it was kind of that realization that we need to move back to quality over quantity. We need to get back to some basics here, and we got way ahead of ourselves over our skis. And now, the correction is the correction. So with that, like how much value should an SDR bring to the conversation? And I say that because I work with a lot of companies who run the gamut, right? They run the gamut from the SDR literally just getting a pulse and flipping over a meeting without almost anything. And then other SDRs going pretty far down kind of I want to say BANT, but the qualification stage, if you will. And there's one thing about qualifying, but then there's, like I said, another thing about adding value. And these days, if I'm not going to get value out of a conversation, like I am inherently frustrated if a 22-year-old kid calls me up, just happens to strike gold with something that they say, right? And I'm like, holy shit, that sounds pretty cool. Let's talk about that. And they're like, well, sorry, I now need to, schedule a meeting with my AE a week out. And why don't we do, and I'm like, well, by then I'm not going to be interested in this anymore. Right. So if you don't have this conversation, if you can't add value to my life right now, and don't tell me to go take a look at your website, don't send me a video of your product. Like, I want to talk to you, to your point, the human element here.
Yep.
So how much should an SDR know about a solution, and what value do they bring to that conversation?
I think they should know just as much as the AE knows. Now, I'm not saying they should say just as much as the AE knows, but they should know just as much. So what we do is, like, we have all of our SDRs sit with our AEs, client AEs, on those demos, do warm handoffs, throw their video on mute, be a fly on the wall, and know as much as you possibly can. But you have to, again, this is where it comes to human interaction, and I think AI is an issue right now because they can't do this, or it's doing too much, is really the balancing act. And that's what we always tell our reps is, hey, listen, our job is to be the trailer to the movie. Right. And the job of the demo is to be the movie. Your job is to be the trailer. So you can't tell them the ending of the movie, right, in the trailer. It ruins the movie. But you got to tell them just enough to get them excited to come to the movie. Right. And so we use that analogy a lot, but it's nuanced. Sometimes, there is a need, and they are saying, oh, this is perfect timing. This is serendipitous. I can't believe you just called me. We were just talking about this. If that's the case, we can pump them to the expert faster. If it's, what do you have right now? And asking questions about their current solution or program or service. And whatever it is, asking those probing questions. And then to a point, knowing that balancing act, when can you convert it? Because I feel like too many times people are just selling 30 minutes and that's it. And I do feel like an SDR's role is to sell that time. But at the end of the day, they have to give enough carrots to get them saying, okay, now it's time to flip it to an appointment. And I think you should know just enough, not share just as much, but know just enough.